Yo, YouTubers, this is a kind of test as to how long I can actually record using my webcam, my, what's it called, my little mini laptop thing that I showed on my channel. And to kind of test, you know, I haven't done any long speeches or anything like that using this gadget. And the other good thing is I can kind of talk quietly because I'm usually shouting across the room at a video camera with the built-in microphone. And this time I've got me microphone which is close, and I can sit back, you know what I mean, I don't have to lean up to the microphone or nothing, which is cool, like. It makes a change, like. I look a right tit with these headphones on and that, like, but you know, no one's perfect, you know what I mean. But it's been a while since I did a little speech of some kind, and I know people like it when I talk about things, you know. And this speech is going to be, like I said, this is a test, you see. It might go to stop recording. I don't know what the time limit, the recording limit is on this gadget, like, but I've got it recording onto an SD card, a USB thing, so it's got plenty of memory and all that, like. And the idea is I record a speech straight onto a memory card, and then I upload it to YouTube and see how fast it goes, you know, compared to me video camera recordings, which are just ridiculously long, right? Another point is, I haven't done any videos recently, you know, the Amsterdam video and all that kind of stuff, because basically my computer is playing up with the power supply thing, you know, the thing in the back of the computer that runs the power with the fan on it and everything. That keeps cutting out. It's obviously, I've had it for a few years now, you know, so it cuts out all of a sudden. So I could be in the middle of a project on Sony Vegas or recording music on my Steinberg or something, and it can just go off anytime, you know what I mean? It just goes off all of a sudden after so many hours. So I've got to buy a brand new power supply and boost my computer, or fix it so it's running perfectly again. So in the meantime, I've got this little gadget thing where I've been exploring me mini laptop thing, which is really good, and it's useful for this kind of stuff, you know. The idea is I can go roaming around the countryside or whatever and do some speeches while I'm out and about and while I'm camping and things, and put them straight onto YouTube and that kind of stuff. So I'm just experimenting with the gadgets here and that. So that's why I haven't put any videos up lately. You know, interesting videos or anything like that, because my computer's knackered basically, or it's on its way out. Like, everything else works, it's just the power supply, right? So I will be working on some of the videos, because the Amsterdam video will be quite funny once it's put together. There's not much on it, it's informal basically, about camping and that. Like, trust me, I didn't I went to the red light district, but I didn't bang any, you know, prozzies or anything like that. I was just being an artist, making observations, you know how it is. But anyway, this speech is it's about Freemasonry, right? It's an interesting thing about Freemasonry. You know, everyone's going mad on the internet and talking about the Masons and stuff like that. Now, before I go any further, I'm not out to try and destroy the Masons or anything like that, right? It's not for me to do any of that. It's not for any of us, really. It's up to the Holy Spirit if things get a bit crazy, like, you know, he'll intervene at some point. It doesn't really matter how long it takes. It's not my concern. The point is, though, I've kind of like encountered Freemasonry on a personal level, where I was like being initiated by certain individuals. I won't name any names or nothing like that. I'll hint at who I'm talking about and stuff, but they were obviously part of the Freemasonic setup, the police, the forces, I don't know. I don't really care anymore, you know. But it was like the Holy Spirit intervened with me, and he pulled me out of it when I was like, you know, rather than get sucked in by it and end up like a knobhead in a Masonic lodge chanting to false gods, like, the Holy Spirit pulled me out of it, right? And then told me what was going on and all that, like, told me everything. Now, what I actually know about it all, I mean, I don't know what to say, because I could end up on the hit list, but this is the point now, is recently, you know, sometimes I post videos on YouTube and I say things like, I feel like they're trying to kill me, or they're trying to get to me, or they're trying to, you know, take me down, make it look like an accident or whatever, you know. I'm getting all them vibes again, like, at the moment, like, so it usually spurs me on to speak about certain levels of Freemasonry and point things out to the public if they watch me videos, if they're interested. And in particular, what I'm focusing on in this one is like two aspects basically. Is the female side of Freemasonry, what they call the Eastern Star, or the Ladies Guild, or the Femme Fatale, you know, Eyes Wide Shut, where you see the guy with the red cloak, and he's basically controlling all these gorgeous chicks to just take the clothes off first, and then he tells them to go off and have sex with whoever they want to in the orgy, you know what I mean? Go out and find a man, seduce him, and, you know, show him the bribes in Freemasonry, you know what I mean? The sex and the fornication, basically, out of marriage fornication and that kind of stuff, yeah. Which I don't, you know what I mean? I don't do it myself. I'm not interested in any of that. I'm quite old-fashioned when it comes to sex and stuff, like. But I seen the things in, when I watched Eyes Wide Shut for the first time, I immediately recognised it as what I must have been being led into at the time, you know, when I was being invited, like a handshake into Freemasonry and stuff, like, and I wasn't being funny, I wasn't being, like, personal, but it just spooked me. Anything like that is you know, if it's not your doing and someone else is pulling all the levers and everything, it's not wise to get involved in it. You're selling your soul, basically. And what Freemasons do is, when they get in the lodges, right, every Freemason's spirit is taken, basically. Their souls are taken, and it all accumulates into the all-seeing eye. The all-seeing eye is like, they think it's God, right? But it's not. It's all human souls assembled to make this kind of camera. And then what you do is, you become an actor in real life. There's no camera, there's no film crew, there's no director, there's nothing like that. And what they're encouraged to do is kind of act. Basically, it's like some films you'll see in the cinema, or some films you'll see, you know, available on DVDs or whatever. Sometimes they are Freemasonic movies, and the camera is the all-seeing eye, and it records. You know, it depends on who the person is. If you're not interested, if you live a boring life, if you just want to go rambling in the countryside and all that, the Freemasons don't want to see all that, do they? Whereas, like, if I was a bank robber, or I was, like, going out banging prostitutes left, right and centre, or, you know, a diamond thief, or, you know, some kind of... they like scallywags, basically. You've got to be naughty to get the gold star off them, you know what I mean? To get the reward, kind of thing. Hold on, I'll just knock this tea back. Poison. Right. So, are you with me so far? Like, virtually everyone, male and female, initiated into Freemasonry effectively becomes an actor or an actress. And the whole idea is, you've got to spin this thing. You say I was initiated into Freemasonry, right? And I was getting into, like, going from one level to the next, right? What I'd start doing effectively is going out, and instead of having new friends, making friends and just being normal and that kind of stuff, I'd be going for the Oscars basically. I'd be living my life as though I am like an actor, right? And then you've got to try and spin it to make it become a drama worth watching for the all-seeing eye to focus on. And you know when you watch like the X-Files and programs like that, and the camera sort of goes like, you know, it like moves like that, or it's really gentle movement, like, or it zooms in or zooms out, or it pans like that, you know. It's it's crafty stuff, you know what I mean? These guys know what they're doing, yeah. And there's women involved as well, you see, because they've got to have the opposite sex if there's going to be any elements. I mean, oh man, Eyes Wide Shut just basically, you know, nailed it, like, because effectively it's like Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman. They were a real married couple, remember? In real life, they were actually married when they made that film, right? And it was as though Kubrick encouraged them to be themselves on camera and act as well, you see. Like, so they're going for the Oscars as well, they're acting. And remember, Kubrick did admit to being, you know, on that side of things, but given his due, he was always trying to reveal the truth to us, you know, less fortunate, us poor folks or whatever who aren't involved in it, right? And there's the movies, and there's the really good dramatics, or there's like, you know, when you watch the BBC, or you know, one of those dramas they put on the BBC that's like really well filmed and really well put together, and it looks like a movie, but it's not a movie. You know what I'm saying? Like they're what we call television drama, right? They're classic examples of how, in our case with the BBC, British Freemasons move around, you know, how they work, right? And like I say, I'm not attacking these guys, I'm not like that, and like trying to get rid of them or anything like that. But the point is, right, I've been kind of subject to that kind of pursuit where they pursue you and then they try and make your life into a play. And I suspected a particular woman I used to know, right? It turned out she did have connections to a Freemason who was like, you know, married to someone she was close to in that way. And I always felt when she was with me in that like, that she was acting, not like being false, but putting they do everything perfect. So it's, you know, you like say, you know, you don't fart or you don't swear or you don't, you know, you don't belch all of a sudden. You don't do anything like that because they don't do that in films, do they? Unless it's a comedy or something like that. Yeah, you get me right? So you got to like watch P's and Q's, and they tend to kick off on you if you swear and things like that. And you think, why would you be asked whatever they say? But obviously they're thinking because everyone's watching. You don't know that, like you're just in the film without knowing it, like. Right. So you can see like where I'm coming from, like some BBC dramas, the really well filmed ones that look like movies, they're usually a byproduct of Freemasonry, and obviously they have a camera crew and a director, and you know, at the end of the programme it'll come up like the credits, it'll say like, you know, wardrobe department, Molly Jones, you know, there's a job for everyone all of a sudden, like there's a best boy, gaffer, producer, director, and there'll be all these people, and there's normally all Freemasons, all the names at the end of a movie or a big programme, yeah, it says like, you know, and then they all end up getting Oscars or awards or BAFTAs, or, and then they're on the screen going, I've always tried, you know, strove to get this award, it's the most important thing in my life, and it just pushes the whole genre like as though it's something it isn't. It's no big deal really, you know. The more normal we are, the more realistic we are, isn't it, right? But I got these I had these my suspicions when like this chick I knew, don't get me wrong, she was, you know, a sound person, but unfortunately it seemed like, you know, the character Persephone in Greek legend, and you know the film Clash of the Titans where you see this chick, she's in bed asleep, and then all of a sudden she's summoned out of a bed in a dream, in a trance, and this vulture picks her up. A vulture, an Egyptian, symbol of death, and you know, just vultures basically. Yeah, takes her away to this evil dude. He's like a kind of devil man, isn't he, with a tail and everything. But she's in a dream. She's in like hypnotized. She hasn't got a clue. I don't know how close that film is to the actual truth of Persephone, Persephone or Persephone. But apparently she was being summoned in her sleep, yeah, to be some monster's sex slave, basically, or escort, or, like, companion. And obviously there's no sexual scenes in Clash of the Titans, but why else would anyone hypnotise someone, guys? You know what I mean? Like, say, go to the efforts of summoning a beautiful woman from her bed. She's like that, like, in total dreamland. And she goes to this, like, an unsightly creature or man who she probably wouldn't look at sideways if she was fully conscious. And that's why they do it. That's why they hypnotise, because they're usually ugly or unsightly, or they're not very handsome, or they're even monsters, like grotesque. Like in the Clash of the Titans, he's a grotesque devil dude, like, with a tail and that, like, right, like a sort of lizard man kind of thing. So you see where I'm coming at, right? That, like, a lot of these chicks in the realms of Freemasonry, in the fatale, with the Eastern Star on the floor, because in the Eyes Wide Shut there's a carpet, right? Isn't there, in Eyes Wide Shut, that scene where all the chicks are around the guy in the red cloak? There's a carpet. I'm sure if you moved that carpet, it'd have one of them stars on the floor. But it's a stately home. It's not actually a Masonic lodge, is it? It's a stately home. But in the temples, they have a star on the ground. And hey up, there's all kinds of noises going on here because me keep getting all these little messages on me thingy from emails and stuff. So if you hear any little mad noises, guys, I'm not up to nothing, like. But yeah, the girls are usually summoned in their sleep, right, to perform sexual acts for big, ugly, like 6'5" Freemasons who probably would never get a fit woman if in the real world, while these women were completely conscious. Because hypnosis, we all know what people are capable of with hypnosis. You could get people to drop the trousers on a train and have a dump if you hypnotise them with the right code words. You could put it in television first, and this is where the television comes in, guys, right? There could be adverts on telly. Someone hypnotises you first, because remember, when you hypnotise, you don't remember it's happened. They say 3, 2, 1, you're back in the room. You will never remember any of this, right? And they could say, when you hear the word, like, say, for example, it goes through television as well. They use television a lot, right? And this one I'm going to head to in what I'm getting at. I hope this kind of adds up at the end of it when I finish, like. But, like, if someone hypnotised you and said, because on the trains there's an automatic voice, isn't it, that says, the next station is Lime Street. The next station is Liverpool Central. So a hypnotist say, I could be on a train, I've been hypnotised, and someone says, the hypnotist says to me, the next time you hear the words Lime Street, you will drop your trousers and have a dump on the train in front of everyone. And you won't be able to control it, you won't be able to do anything about it, you know what I mean? And then you're on the train sitting there reading the newspaper or whatever, and then the thing goes, the next station is Lime Street. And then you get up and pull your pants down and have a dump in front of everyone. But that's why they use hypnosis, because there's no evidence, is there? You'd naturally think, if I did that on a train, everyone would think, he is mad. He is disgusting and mad. He's just pulled down his trousers and had a dump on the train in front of everyone, and it stinks and that. And that's, they wouldn't think, there's some hypnotist has just hypnotised him to do that. It must be like, which is what all this stuff about it, where all the terrorists and all that kind of stuff are all going mad all over the world. They're all being hypnotised. You know what I mean? Freemasonic tool, man, hypnosis. And in Eyes Wide Shut, right, my assumption when I watched that was like, all the girls are hypnotised. They're walking in their sleep. They don't even know they're there. They could be the dirtiest whores, you know, doing the most awful fornication sex acts on the planet. And to them, they might just seeing a dream. They don't even know what's happening. Like, because Nicole Kidman says at the end of the movie, doesn't she? I had a dream and I was letting all these men do all naughty things to me and they were all having their way with me. But she was probably there herself at the party and she didn't know it, you know, because it's all about dream time, guys. And Persephone, the legend of Persephone, where she's hypnotised by, I don't know, she hears a bell go off or a chime or some kind of signal, and she gets up and goes straight to see the ugly Freemason who can't get his rocks off in the normal world unless it's with prostitutes or call girls or whatever, because that's how they work, guys. They don't know what love is, you know what I mean? Right, so, and what I'm saying is, like, the Masons, you know, the Freemasons themselves, their camera, they're all-seeing eye. It's not God. They think it's God. A lot of members of the Freemasonry got this delusion that it's God's eye doing all the recording. No, it's a bootleg. It's like an imitation, or it's stolen in the first place. You know what I mean? It's like the eye of God has been nicked, even maybe, I don't know, over time by the Egyptians or whatever, and they've been using that device since, I don't know, there's movies, you know, before Noah's flood. There was all kinds of technology and stuff that, you know, we can't, you know, trace anymore, but they did get to an advanced state. You know what I mean? So anyway, bearing in mind that all these women, all these really gorgeous chicks, right, are all kind of hypnotised, you know, to go and have sex with these big, ugly Freemasons. Some of them must be, like, so geeky they'll never get a chick unless they're hypnotised, you know what I mean? And they might even be gay as well, so they do the same to fellas as well, yeah, right? Hypnosis, right? So just because you see, say you got proof that someone was a whore or gay or whatever, they might be hypnotised. They might be just like, and the Freemasons are using the all-seeing eye to record the proof. Do you know what I mean? Like the evidence, or for smear campaigns or any. You know, say you fall out with them later and they wanna attack you later on, like. And what I learned, right, was what Freemasons do, where they really focus their attention. This is how they turn it inside out, right, guys? Adverts on television. If you're still watching mainstream television when adverts pop up in between the, you know, the parts of the program, you're being hypnotised, guys. You know what I mean? Like, it could be anything. You could be being hypnotised to go out and buy a Big Mac, hypnotised to buy a Mercedes or whatever, because the Freemasons, they're all tradesmen. They're all experts in building, mechanics, engineering, all aspects of commerce that makes a lot of money. So they need the customers, which is Joe Soap, Joe Public, us unsuspecting people watching the TV, right? And the person I knew who was kind of like involved with the Freemasons, she was probably a Persephone herself, and a victim of that kind of thing, because I saw some really strange things, you know, where I was like breaking the spell, not on purpose, I just stumbled across it thinking, hang on, something's missing here, she's being controlled by someone. And it got me into trouble, basically. They all fell out with me, and it was like they wanted me off the planet, if you know what I mean, because I was working these things out. And then I find out her mum's like, you know, a female Freemason, playing the same game, right? And me proof, right, that they do this acting thing, this, you know, like amateur dramatics they get into, going on stage or doing Shakespeare or whatever. They're like that, but instead of being on stage, they do it, you know, like Shakespeare said, all the world's a stage and we are players. It's like that. They just act. They got to do everything perfect. They've always got to look right and everything, because they know they're on camera, or on, you know, they're going to be on like some kind of recording of some kind. But usually the person like myself, Joe Public, we wouldn't have a clue these things are possible unless we see it for ourselves or witness it, yeah? Which I have witnessed things, right? the woman in question, right, and she's like an older woman, like, and she's married to a guy who's, and I'm not gonna, she's married to a guy who's a Freemason, right? So the spell of Freemasonry is on the family, no matter how many people, uh, you know, consent to it. Freemasons don't ask for consent or permission; they just go ahead with it. They take what they want on the sly, you know what I mean? They don't tell anyone. And I always had the suspicion, like, that this chick was being hypnotised, right? And first of all, I was thinking, gotta be a mum, hasn't it? You know, it's gotta be a mother, like, because she was a bit of a posh. She was like Hyacinth Bouquet, for real, really posh. Everything had to be clean, sort of above standard, like above my standards. Let's put it that way, like. I started suspecting it, like, and I was right. I've got to see, because as soon as I realised it, and that hit home with, like, oh my word, this is real. We split up. It was like she was like, you better get away from Bruce. He knows too much, or he's gonna, find things out. Like, it was like eyes wide shut, basically. It's like, oh man, she's probably like one of them chicks in Eyes Wide Shut, like, with the guy in the red cloak. You know what I mean? The Master Mason sitting on a throne, going like, bangs a stick on the floor, and they all take the clothes off, like, you know what I mean? Hypnosis, man. But, like, a couple of, mad things, right? Like, this is me proof that the woman was a bit mad. The older woman, the mother, who's obviously a female Freemason, right? This is a true story, right, guys? The chick I used to see, right? She was depressed, had all kinds of bouts before she met me, like, when she was young. She said she had all kinds of psychic problems and stress problems, like, and depression. And basically, it was her mum piling too much pressure on her, basically, from my opinion, like, you know what I mean? Asking her to be part of the play, be part of the film, go along with the movie, the Masonic camera. And she told me that when she was younger, she was so depressed one day. She was only, 15 or something like that, 16, right? Things got to her so much, she slashed her wrists. When people commit to it, they've had enough, and they go, and they just do that, like, slash the wrist, right? This person slashed their wrists for real, right? Went and her mum was still, like, cleaning up and hoovering up like Mrs. Doubtfire, believe it or not. She said it was the Hoover that drove her mad, to sort of, like, you know what I mean? And obviously there's a Masonic dude there in the background, right? But I'm not really attacking him. I'm actually saying it was the woman, and that she was a bit lunatic as well, right? Because when the girl slashed the wrists, right, and this is a true story, right, there's blood spurting out of someone's wrists for real, go from a razor blade cuts, like Spider-Man, like blood flying out everywhere. The guy in the house, the stepfather or whatever, he sees what the girl's done and says, "Oh no, she slashed her wrists," for real, being like proper, like, disturbed. But the mother carries on hoovering, right, and I'm not exaggerating, like, the girl told me this herself, like. The mother looks at it, goes in and looks and sees her with blood spurting all over the show, and she says, "Oh, just ignore her, she's only doing it for effect." Now, come on, guys, what kind of woman would say that about a daughter who's got blood spurting out of her wrists, man? She gotta be, like, still thinking she's in the play acting and that, like, you know what I mean? And she thinks she actually says her daughter's only doing it for effect, as if it was special effects, like a Hammer horror film or something with blood capsules or something, like. But she had proper scars on her wrists, like proper slash things, like, she wasn't. She was telling me the truth. I was like, how can you defend your mum if she's like that? It's like she doesn't care. How can you be so, like, because I was trying to get her to be closer to me and distance her from her mother, as any guy would do, you know what I mean? Right? Obviously, I didn't know there was all this Freemasonic connection going on, like, at the time, it all kind of intensified, and then I felt like I was being hunted all of a sudden, Still do now, like, probably get, like, proper haunted after putting this video out, like, you know. Right, so there's the proof that the mother thinks it's still a play, that there's an act going on, and the girl who's gone is certainly not acting. You know, it's like a real, you know, when people are depressed and they drop a load of pills or whatever, like, you know, right? And another thing, right now, okay, she survived that, she went to hospital, blah, 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 they patched her up and all that, she recovered, took her ages to recover, she got to meet me, then things kind of went a bit like crazy for a while because of the way, you know, because I'm just a poor guy with no money, basically, yeah, didn't work out or whatever, but after we split and everything, right, it was like there was like a war between our families, you know, like, because it worked out. Me like my mum and her mum had a fight. It was ridiculous, you know what I mean? But my mum didn't do anything to start it. The lunatic woman I'm talking about is that mad with her going for the Oscars. You know, like a lunatic, like starlets from Hollywood who have like gone get into the 70s, but they're still acting in the brain. You know, they still like being drama queens and that. Like she was like that. You know what I mean? I can't stress how insane she appeared on this, to me personally. I was thinking she's absolutely crackers, man. She hasn't realised it. But my mum wasn't like wealthy or like going for Oscars or trying to be in this like play acting lifestyle that they've got going, like the flipping eyes wide shut or whatever. Yeah. And then after we split up and we fell out, and it was like a kind of mini war then, you know, between me and, you know, the girl. Like, we was like, because all kinds of mad stuff happened. It was like the Freemasons themselves came into the picture and they were like sabotaging everything I did and all kinds of stuff. They were stopping me making money and things and making things really difficult for me and stuff, yeah. So I've been through the mill, guys, you know what I mean? I've seen how they work and everything. Because it worked out that they're all seeing I was like, you know, all these souls like that make a camera, and they all collectively make these perfect films, these movies. It's their obsession to get an Oscar or a BAFTA, like. But after we split and everything, like, you know, it was a bit of time between us. Obviously, me, you know, the ex-girlfriend in question probably hated my guts, or, you know, was like, you know, she must have wanted me out of the picture, like, I don't know. And I got like all kinds of things done to me where she was trying to make me go mad or be angry about it, and I wasn't going for it, you know what I mean? Because I was just, I didn't care, I was just thinking, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work, but you want to see, check your man's brain out before you go any further on this one, like. Um, well, like I said, Freemasons, when they target your house, when they, you know, when you're watching your television and you're sitting down, because that was the way I grew up, guys. I can't help that, can I? I know we're all daft being watching television too much and all that kind of stuff, but that's the way us poor folks were kind of imprisoned in our own homes, if you know what I mean. We've all been stupid watching silly television programs, you know what I mean, over the years. And so as a rule, I sit in a house with me mum and me dad, and we're watching TV. You know, like them more so than me. You know what I mean? My mum, because my mum and dad were more. It was a big deal to them. You know what I mean? Like, our brains, my generation, we're getting wise to things and we're clearing the way and waking up and thinking about the spells and all that kind of stuff. Well, I'd be sitting in my mum's house watching the television after this little mini war between our two families, like. And this adverts, you know, like the Freemasons, they know that like millions of viewers are going to be watching Coronation Street or Emmerdale, you know, stuff my mum used to watch, which I couldn't stand myself, but I'd sit there, you know, like I used to be on my mum's case all the time, telling her to stop watching it, you know, but she didn't understand what I was saying. Do you get me? It just, she couldn't get it into her head what I was trying to say to her, like that, you know, because the adverts would come on and I'd be like, oh man, this advert wrecks my head. And I'd learned that the Freemasons, when they bombard the masses, they go into adverts more so than in the films. Because an advert can only be like 30 seconds long or a minute long. It's only a short amount of time. They use the all-seeing eye to do the recording and send it out in a broadcast. Or their magic camera kind of thing. And then next thing, millions of viewers see what what's been broadcast. They see it on the screen like as being broadcast, like, and go, whoa, yeah, fall for it, be hypnotised, go out and buy a hamburger, whatever it is they want you to do, right? But when you see someone you actually know on an advert, and it's Freemasonic, and you're thinking, hang on, she looks familiar, or he looks familiar, and they're doing one of their adverts themselves, then it gets a bit obvious, doesn't it? Do you know, like a little bit obvious, like it's a bit of a giveaway, if you know what I mean. And what actually happened in my case, like, I'm sitting down watching, I'll just move this camera so it's a bit more light. But yeah, I'm watching this program with my mum and dad, and the adverts always seem to be sarcastic or taking the mickey out of poor folks. Like, for example, my mum had false teeth, right? And because she used to have amazing teeth, my mum, when she was younger, but she lost them all when she gave birth to my little sister, right? You know, one of them things where it's just like, you know, all the teeth fell out after having a baby, do you know what I mean? Don't know how the hell that's possible. I'm sure there's something dodgy going on, because my mum had amazing teeth when she was young, you know what I mean? But I'd be sitting there with my mum and there'd be like adverts for like denture fix. You know them adverts that show like false teeth when you put glue on them and you stick it to the roof of your mouth and that, like. But it was like sarcastic. Do you know what I mean? It was like, and I used to look at my mum and think, it's as though they're having a dig, isn't it? It's like some mad, crazy Masonic lunatic woman off the Eastern Star or whatever, the Femme Fatale or whatever, like. The Ladies Guild is constantly throwing insults out, basically, and I could see it, man. I could see where my mum was being wound up, right? For one example, like, that was one example, like, oh, like, your dentures will fall out if you eat an apple. Fix it with denture fix, but it's more of a, it's not like advising you, telling you to sort your teeth out or whatever. It's actually taking the piss. Do you know what I mean? Like in my song Money Go Round, I say, you see it in the adverts on your TV, takes the piss out of people like you and me. You know, check out my song Money Go Round. There's a lot of little, well, don't if you don't want to, like, but I put quite a lot of information in there, yeah, about these, what I'm saying. And anyway, there's other adverts will be like, you know, your eyesight's not very good. You need to have an eye check. Go to Dolland and Aitchison or Vision Express and they'll give you a free checkup and give you the glasses you need. More hypnosis, do you understand? Telling you your eyes are no good and you need a pair of glasses, because these guys make glasses, they make lenses. You need engineers and technicians to do that kind of stuff, do you know what I mean? And then they sell the bloody products, you know. And then one of these adverts come up, which I just like, honestly, it beggars belief, basically. Right, go on YouTube, right? You know the way on YouTube you can find everything, basically. You know, we say, you think, oh, you remember the cornflakes advert or whatever advert, and you check it out, and it normally shows up, doesn't it? Someone out there has normally recorded it and posted it on YouTube. This is what's funny about YouTube. There's loads of memories that the Masons would rather forget, if you know what I mean, because those adverts are only meant to be like broadcast and go round the system, and then once it's, you know, time out, they replace it with another one. They fill the gaps with these adverts, right? And they're meant to be, some of them, they're not meant to be remembered in the future, but thanks to YouTube, there's all kinds of proof, you know, of some old adverts what people have recorded with the videos and stuff by chance and that. Like, adverts have become like gold dust now, you know what I mean? And in particular, right, I remember sitting with my mum and dad watching the telly, and it was while this little mini war was going on, and all the cynicism and the skits and the digs at like the likes of my mum and dad and my kind of class of people, working class kind of, you know, scruffy ruffians or whatever. Not, you know, we don't own our own homes and all that. We live in council houses, you know what I mean? That's the way we are, the poor, isn't it, right? And this advert comes on, right? It's like, you remember the Ginsters pasties? You know, Ginsters, the pasty company, they make pasties, right? Now, if you're a snob, right, if you was like Gordon Ramsay sort of level where your food is always gourmet, or sirloin steaks, or the finest, you know, like You know, the kind of cooking, what's the word for it, flipping cuisine, and do you know them kind of levels of, which is absurd really, because you just eat, you digest it, your body extracts the energy or the proteins, and then you have a dump. Do you know what I mean? Sorry, body. Well, you see these cookery programs lately, man, where they're all making souffles and stuff, and I just, never really been into that kind of thing, right? But those people, you say Gordon Ramsay, for example, he comes across as being common, but he's, look at the food he makes and everything, the kind of stuff he makes. It's just not like common people's thing, is it? Right. Only the royals and all them kind of people eat the really good food, don't they? But this advert comes on, and this is the hypocrisy of them. This is the horrible thing about it, is like, the, they'll advertise something like false teeth, denture fix or whatever, but they're taking the piss out of poor people, right? And this advert comes on for ginsters pasties, right? And anyone who's posh or in that kind of thing, they'd think eating a ginsters pasty is disgusting. Or, let's just say my mum my mum says, I can't be bothered cooking a roast dinner or something fancy. I'm just gonna go to the shop and get some pasties, and I'll do some chips. That kind of, our sort of generation, our level are used to kind of thing, chips and beans or chips and pasty or something. So it would be seen as like a crime, wouldn't it? Like, oh, look at the common woman going to the shop with her, going to buy a pasty for her son. Why doesn't she do some real food, right? Bear that in mind, what I'm saying. And then this advert comes on, right? And, like, as you do, like, it's a woman, and she looked familiar, wink wink, nod nod, say no more. She looked like a woman I know, a batty old Freemason woman. I'll just say, that's what I'll call her, the batty old Freemason woman, like Hyacinth Bouquet, like. She's in a glider. If anyone out there remembers it, right, give me a message back and say, yeah, I remember that advert. So if your English is, this probably wouldn't have been seen in America or Canada or Australia or whatever, yeah. And you see this batty old woman, right, and the camera, the all-seeing eye camera, is like looking at her, face on, like this camera is on me. And if you imagine my head being in a cockpit of a glider, yeah, a glider, like a cockpit, like a plane that's got no engine. And you can see the window like that, and behind me you can see like hills and mountains and, proper flying. Not like dubbed in the background, not special effects and that, like. So you imagine this batty old nutty Freemason woman doing her little bit for the Masons, her advert, yeah. Taking the piss out of the poor, right? Probably a direct dig at my own mum because of this mini war that happened, right? And she's sitting there in a glider like that, and she's waffling about something, going, well, when you fly, when you do, you got one of your typical days, like taking the mickeys and say, like, I'm not sitting at home watching TV. I'm not like a typical housewife that doesn't do nothing all day. Look at me, everyone. I'm flying. I'm 70 odd years old, and I'm flying around in a glider. Right? If anyone remembers it, give us a shout. Like, she's like that, flying around, and I recognised her straight away. I was thinking, she looks like a particular batty old woman I used to know, like, And she goes, and she's doing, remember the acting, remember, for effect, and that, like, she's like that, like, oh, when you've got a busy day going on, and you haven't got much time on your hands, and you're talking to a nice ginsters pasty, and she gets a pasty out in the wrapper, you know what I mean, with the writing on it, ginsters pasties. Probably the company ginsters probably haven't got a clue about it. Like, they just advertise things, like, because who can check it out? Who's going to check it out and say, like, is she really working for the company ginsters, or is it like, because I could do it, couldn't I? I could, like, pirate an advert, say drink Guinness, or just sit in a pub with a pint of Guinness and go, Guinness, and I send it out on television, and I'm like, but I could be taking the mickey out of people who drink too much, if you know what I mean, if I was that way inclined, yeah. So she gets this pasty out of the wrapper like and goes, when I'm flying around and I'm doing things all day, I starts biting this pasty, on camera as if she's like forcing herself to eat it, you know what I mean? She obviously doesn't do pasties at home. She obviously doesn't buy them herself. She obviously doesn't get them for the family. She does souffle, sirloin steak, venison, some kind of gourmet Gordon Ramsay kind of cuisine kind of thing for real at home. Like, but no, she's in a glider, like going, oh, when one of my busy days and I've got so much to do, being an acting batty old Freemason woman, like, she starts eating a ginster's pasty in the glider. So, but she's being sarcastic. Do you know what I mean? And then she goes, I can't remember the exact words, right? And then she goes, ginsters, proper food. Like a sort of, as if like, yeah, like proper food, eh? Well, like what we eat, like. Well, she's basically saying like taking the piss out of the poor folks who buy ginsters pasties. Basically, this is the irony of it. Like, this is the sort of the Freemasonic snake biting its own tail. That symbol used, the full circle. She's eating the flippin' pasty in a glider hundreds of feet up in the sky over Wales or somewhere. And we're watching it on the screen, remember? We're taken in by the all-seeing eye camera. Like, think of the trickery of it, guys. All our eyes, we're all in our living rooms, in our armchairs, right? Looking at this woman flying around in a glide, and she's actually in the sky. She's flying around for real. And she's eating the pasty, and then she goes, proper food for people who know food, like a sort of nod and a wink, but she's taking the piss big time, do you know what I mean? She's actually taking the piss, like. And I immediately saw it when I watched it. I thought, it's like, I can't believe how low this batty old woman's prepared to go, like, and she's making a show of herself in that, she's going for the effect. She's only doing it she's still acting in her head. She's still like, what's her name? Phyllis Dillis or something in her head, like, or Mrs. Doubtfire or Hyacinth Bouquet going, we eat proper food at home. We wouldn't eat a pasty. We wouldn't buy one of these, would we? And eat it ourselves. And just do it for the effect, like, to look good, like to take the piss out of common folk eating pasties, like. Sounds mad, like, guys. What's that petty? That's stupid, you know what I mean? And this is the odd thing, right? I saw that well, that's a bit of a, that's like stealing our eye big time, isn't it? All our eye is like taken in by this old batty old woman flying round. And I immediately saw it and thought, that's a piss take, you know what I mean? As if she's going to buy pasties at home, like when she's eating flipping souffles or whatever, like. Because she just so happens to be a really, top chef, like Gordon Ramsay standard, like really fancy munchies, like, really stuff you just wouldn't think of buying if you were on, you got to go to Sainsbury's. More like Harrods, mate, you know what I mean? More like Harrods, like. And I immediately saw it, right, but this is the crazy thing, right? Recently, when I went on YouTube and I thought, I'm going to find that advert and reproduce it, show people, like, all these adverts come up for Ginster's pasties. Check them out, you know what I mean? Type in Ginster's pasties and see all the little, like, the mad scenarios, and they're all Freemasons taking the piss out of people who buy pasties, basically. This is not taking the mickey out of poor people because they buy pasties, basically. That's the whole spin, yeah. But the thing is, the glider advert wasn't there. It's not on YouTube. No one's recorded it. It's just by, man, because I would have been able to prove, say, like, look at her face and that, like, it's there, but she's getting on a bit now. She's getting old and wrinkly kind of thing, you know what I mean? But she's a really exciting woman because she's flying in a glider. She's probably one of them jumps out of aeroplanes on skateboards and that kind of stupidity, they do think, or bungee jumping and that kind of stupidity, like all that kind of crap, like as you say, I'm ever so young, but really you're just a silly batty old woman trying to impress your husband, basically, like putting on a show as if to say, am I funny? Am I funny today, my doting Freemasonic husband? Have I made you laugh? Will I get a gold star tonight, maybe? Nod, nod, wink, wink. If I hypnotise Persephone to join us? I know it sounds crazy, guys, but the reason I'm actually saying this, I feel like they're pursuing me again. I've got this feeling they just won't leave me alone. Do you understand? I'm trying to get on with my life. I'm trying to get on with things, minding my own business. And I'm getting the feeling I'm being pursued, and attacked in various ways. So, any questions, any quotes, any comments, I'd be interested to see what you've got to say. I just wanted to point it out like that batty old woman eating a pasty and a glider is an absolute fruitcake, to be honest, an absolute lunatic. You see someone who slashes the wrist and you say, oh, this is special effects, just going for effect, and oh, hey, darlings, at the stage people like, yes, darlings. Oh, not now, darlings, I'm cleaning up. She's only doing it for the effect. She's a flaming lunatic, mate, you know what I mean? Well, she'll never admit it. Anyway, I've gone into 50 minutes. I've actually stretched this out quite a bit and said quite a lot, really. But I've got loads of interesting points about Freemasonry. But I can't change nothing. I'm no threat to them. I'm not going to go out attacking them or nothing like that. But I do get the feeling, guys, they're doing that to me, evidently, via, I don't know, intimidation, you know what I mean? Sort of trying to wreck me head, basically. But like I say, I know the Holy Spirit. I don't know the all-seeing eye of Freemasonry. I know the real Holy Spirit, you know what I mean? And I don't really have to go on about that to anyone anymore. I'm not really concerned about trying to convert people or make people understand where I'm coming from. But it'd be interesting to know if any of us out there remember that advert. Even if any Americans saw it, I'd be really interested to know, did it reach America, the batty old Freemason woman with eating a pasty, I hope she's watching this, by the way, hope she's ashamed of herself as I speak, and realises she's just a lunatic, flesh and bone lunatic, doesn't matter. You can buy fancy meals, fancy cars, fly around in aeroplanes, gliders, it ain't gonna change your inside, is it, you know what I mean? Well, anyway, guys, thanks for watching. I'll just 52 minutes, my camera's saying. So I'll put a pause on this and try and upload it straight to YouTube. And I need to see how fast it loads, you see, this format and that, But thanks for watching, guys. It's my first kind of major speech since the start of the year, isn't it, really? First kind of provocative, thought-provoking speech and that. Because I've got tons of things to say about Freemasonry without trying to bring them down or attack them, but just point out the absurdity, the stupidity and the absurdity of how it's really important to them guys, you know what I mean, getting their Oscars or whatever, or and the next speech I do, if anyone's interested, if people show interest, you've got to show interest, guys. Put a comment and tell me, oh, that's quite interesting, I would like to hear more about that. It'll be, if people do get on to me, it'll be about the cult of Osiris, or the Nefertiti and Akhenaten connection to every Freemasonic husband and wife, if you know what I mean. Nod, nod, wink, wink, say no more. That's what every Freemasonic woman is with a Freemasonic husband. They're play acting still. The woman's Nefertiti. If you look at the bust of Nefertiti and the face, the giveaway is the statue and the bust of Nefertiti. It's photographic, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? It looks like a real head. And one eye's missing, one of the eyes is missing, but it's a proper lookalike of what Nefertiti looked like when she was young. Nod, nod. I don't know if there's any statues of her when she's old and batty, if you know what I mean. And the husband is that Akhenaten who everyone connects to Obama, Barack Obama. Well, it's not Barack Obama, you know what I mean? Really, Barack Obama's the stooge that everyone's sort of connecting it to. But the Freemasonic husband is Akhenaten, his big long face. He's got it's a big long head. He's abnormal. He's not handsome at all, is he? Really, he's a big big, long-headed, ugly dude. Like, if I died tonight, don't be surprised. You know, we still have to say this. Like, so you got the woman being Nefertiti, and the husband, the Freemasonic husband, the Master Mason or whatever. He's Arcanart, and they're both acting out until the cows come home. Like, say, well, we're having next, man. They're gonna like do like a mini series or something, or a mini soap opera, like Coronation Street, or it's like, you know, Arkham Street or something like. But I don't know if anyone will actually understand what I'm saying here. It's like sort of cryptic, but I do feel like they're pressurising me and having a go at me. And I live in a council property, and I don't own my own home or flat, and I can't afford to buy a flat or a house. I'd love to. I'd love a cottage in the countryside, guys. I own my own tent though. My tent is my property. I can live in that. It's mine. Yeah. So, you know, me TP, me tent. That's my. I paid for that full, like. Paid for 40 odd quid for it, like 30 quid or something. That's mine. You know, but I hope you're happy out there, you know what I mean? Like eating pasties and taking the mickey out the poor, like. Hope it gives you a big thrill, a huge, like, energy vampire thrill. You know what I mean? Like Countess Dracula, she had to drink blood to stay young, and that desperate attempt to try and stay young and beautiful, like. It's nutty. It's just madness. They're all vamps. Alright, thanks for watching, guys. Please comment. Tell me, you know, you're happy to see me do me speeches again. And I'll get right into it, because if this gadget is successful, and I can upload these speeches more often, because it saves me a lot of time, you see. And, you know, I'll go further into the subject and that, like, about, like, the sex life, you know, the connection between husbands and wives of Freemasonry, and like how the obelisk represents a phallus, you know, like she finally turns him on, like, and without another, like, younger woman being present, or a naked beautiful escort or whatever being in the room, he finally gets his obelisk going, like, you know, like. Fat chance of that with a woman that's that bad, isn't it? That's sort of Freemasonic nutty woman, like, I mean, flipping no, you need the Viagra, innit, man? I'd pay for Viagra, like, you know, like Cleopatra's needle, like, Viagra. It gives you an obelisk. Sort your missus out. Alright, guys, thanks for watching. Like I say, post some comments and I'll carry on with the theme, you know, if I'm still alive. Thanks for watching, guys.